Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a great week. I don't know about y'all, but I am frozen today. It is so cold outside and I just can't handle this kind of weather. But today we are going to continue talking about the fruits of the Spirit. So far we've talked about love, joy, peace, patience, and today we're on kindness. You're right, good job. So we're going to be talking about kindness. This is a word that we think it just means being nice to people, and that's true. It does mean being nice to people. But it's also really important that we realize why we are kind to people and that we do it for the right reasons. So today we're going to talk about a guy named David. Now, what you probably know about David is that he was the little boy that was a shepherd, and he fought Goliath with just a slingshot and a stone, and then he killed Goliath's brothers too. And that's the story you know about David is the giant slayer. But David was also a guy that practiced kindness. And so we're going to talk about a story today where David didn't necessarily need to be kind to somebody, like they weren't kind to him, yet he decided to be because he wanted to be a man after God's own heart and he wanted to follow what God said. So David was best friends with a guy named Jonathan. Now Jonathan was the son of the king. If we remember David's story, we know that at one point God came and he told David that David was eventually going to be king, but David wasn't yet. So there was a guy that was king named Saul. That was the dad of David's best friend Jonathan. And at first everything was great. But over time, Saul heard what the people said about David, that he was going to be king, and Saul became jealous of David. And so Saul decided he was going to try to kill David. Doesn't sound like a very nice guy, does he? Nope. So Saul tries to kill David once when David was playing music for him. David was an awesome musician, but Saul it said he had an evil spirit come over him and he just decided he wanted to kill him. And so David escaped and he started running from Saul, as he should. Well, one day Saul and his men were out and they were looking for David. And they're out in the middle of the wilderness, nothing else around, no stores, no anything, no houses. And all of a sudden, Saul decided that he had had too much to drink and he needed to find a place to go to the bathroom. There was no porta potties, nothing. So, of course, he goes and he tries to find a place off by himself. So he goes in this cave. But little did he know, David was hiding out in this cave. So David's in this cave and his friend's like, you could kill him now. He's trying to get you should get him first. But David didn't do that. While Saul was going to the bathroom, David snuck over and he cut a piece off of Saul's robe, just a little bit piece off the corner of it, and then he held on to it. And then later on he showed Saul, he said, look what I have, basically saying, I could have killed you but I didn't, can we stop this craziness where you're trying to kill me? And Saul was so thankful that David didn't kill him then, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna stop trying to kill you, blah blah blah. David was like, that's great, man, thanks. But then Saul changed his mind and he decided to come after David again. This time somebody had told him where David was and he was like, I'm gonna go kill him. So they set out with an army. And God told David to go with his friend and to go and sneak into the tents that Saul was sleeping in. Well, Saul was sleeping with his general next to him, and the general is the man that is supposed to protect the king. That is his job, is to protect the king. Well, when David and his friends snuck in, Saul and his general were out cold, snoring, nothing's gonna wake them up. If y'all are like me, you probably have a family member that you think of when you think of somebody that's really hard to wake up. Minus my sister, love you. But, so they sneak in and these two are sound asleep. And right next to Saul, he had his spear and his water jug. Maybe Saul's like you guys, and he has to drink water multiple times in the middle of the night. And so finally his mom was like, here, just take the whole jug of it and keep it by your bed. So David decides, instead of killing him like his friend wants him to do, he's just gonna take these things. So he takes this spear and he takes this jug and he goes off to this mountain. And whenever everybody wakes up and David's far enough away, he shouts out and he tells them what he has. He's like, look, I have your spear, I have your water jug, I snuck into your tent, I took these things, I could have done something else. And David was showing kindness to Saul by not killing him, but by just showing him that he didn't want to kill him. He wanted to respect who God had in position until it was time for him to be in position himself. And so Saul was so thankful, and obviously the general's in trouble because, like we said, the general's job is to protect Saul. So generally, get it? Falling asleep on the job is not a good idea. So Saul decides again that he's not going to kill David and was like, I'm so thankful, blah, blah, blah. But then Saul ends up dying in battle. And if David's like any of us, he would probably be celebrating that the guy that was trying to kill him is not there anymore. He's not around. But David doesn't like us. He was so sad and he mourned and he was just upset and grieving that Saul had died. And so David goes and he asks somebody if there's anybody around that's still related to Saul. Well, it turns out David's friend Jonathan, that had also passed, he had a son. And his son's name was Mephibosheth. Now, he was lame in both feet, meaning he could not walk very well at all. Not just one foot that he couldn't walk on, but both feet. And so David calls Mephibosheth. And this kid, because he is the one that is next in line after the king, like usually the king that's taking over wouldn't want any of the old king's relatives still alive. So David calls Mephibosheth and he comes and he bows before David. And David picks up his sword and he kills him right there. No, that's not what happens. David actually adopts him into his own family. And he says that he's going to always eat at his table, and he gives to him everything that belonged to Saul, which was a lot because remember Saul was the king. So David takes care of this boy and again shows kindness to Saul, even though Saul did not show kindness towards David. So this is a way that even when people aren't kind to us, we can be kind to them and show them Jesus through the way that we treat them. Now, we're kind to people because God was kind to us. We love because he first loved us. And we know loving people is more than saying we love them, but is acting in a way that lets them know that we love them. We've learned this in the past couple weeks. Well, there's a word that they use for kindness in the original Greek language. Now, this word is Christos. And it means more than just to be nice or not to be mean to somebody. It also means to be useful to someone. So when we're thinking of ways that we can be kind, those can also look like ways we can be useful. We can be helpful. We can help someone by encouraging them if they're having a bad day, or we can help them out with an activity that they need help with. Maybe it's your mom needs help watering her plants, or your dad needs help mowing the yard or something that you can just see that they could use some help and you just jump on and do it. So this week we're gonna practice kindness and we're gonna try to see if we, even though everybody else sees us as kids, can change the world around us by being kind. So I want you guys to think of at least 3 people right now, and I want you to pause this video and write down 3 people that you can think of this week. Not people that are your best friends, not people that, are super nice to you all the time, but 3 people that might be a little bit hard to be kind to, but that you can try to show kindness to this week. So pause this video right now, write those down. Awesome. So now that we've written those down, this means that we're going to try our best this week to be kind to these 3 people. And just see if there's anything that happens because you go out of your way to try to show kindness to them. See if their attitude changes. Maybe they smile more. Maybe they're nicer to others. So we're going to focus on this as our homework and see if we can change the world around us by just being kind, by being useful, by being helpful, by being loving, and by not treating people the way that the world expects us to treat people, but by treating them like Jesus treats us. While we weren't yet friends with God and we didn't love him, he loved us. So this week, just be kind to people. And remember, kindness, it includes your family too. So be kind to the people in your household, be kind to the people on the street that you see. Just be kind to everyone you meet and see how that can change the world around you. I love y'all, and I hope you have a great weekend and stay warm and don't freeze. Bye y'all.